What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, John Kelly here with Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking, the red-headed wanderlust wandering wonder, Jeremiah Stringer. What's going on, dude?
Oh, nothing much. Just starting off this Monday, right? Just took like an hour and a half nap, ate some dinner, and now I'm ready to talk to the masses.
Oh, man, that sounds like the perfect night. You know what I did for the last 2 hours?
What's that?
Edited video, worked on a live stream, and ate really bad Little Caesars pizza.
The Little Caesars, man. Why did you pick that?
Bro, it's called being on a budget, you know? Like $5 feeds a whole family, you know?
Little cardboard, little pizza sauce, little cheese.
Little cardboard with some red stuff and more like juicy cardboard on top of it. It's awesome, man. It's the best stuff ever.
It's good to hear you editing a video, man. That's good.
Well, it's
stuff.
not for it's another video. It has nothing to do with my YouTube channel. We'll talk about that at another time. Although I picked that song before for the countdown because he kept saying my feet don't work no more. Because it's kind of like me right now. So I hurt my ankle a few weeks ago, right?
Uh-huh.
I got overconfident too quick. So I went for like a little 4 or 5 mile hike yesterday with some friends and decided not to wear my brace. We'll just leave it at that. That was dumb.
Uh-oh. It sounds like mistakes were made.
Yeah, mistakes were made, and I'm wearing a brace again, so there's that.
Is it swelled up today?
It's not horrible. It's not horrible, but it is like not good. You know what I mean? So I'll survive. But we've already got people on here already. Bad Little Caesars. No way. It's great for what it is. I agree with that. It is great for what it is. You know what I mean? Just saying.
Yeah. I live off
not for YouTube. OnlyFans video. I promise you, man, if I had an OnlyFans, nobody would be paying for that. I'm just going to say that right now. Nobody's paying for that. Best $5.99 $5 pizzy.
Yeah, the pizza pie, baby.
Absolutely.
That's we're plugging pizza here. We're not getting paid for this, but Papa John's, that's my go-to.
Oh yeah, you love the Papa?
Yeah, Bridget always gets pineapples on there.
Oh, my wife does too. Pineapples and ham?
No, pepperoni and pineapples.
Really? Have you ever had pineapple and bacon?
Yeah, that's a staple, I'm pretty sure, in the pizza world. But
I'm telling you, man, just bacon in general. You put bacon on anything, I'll probably eat it.
Wait a minute, you said bacon and pineapples or ham?
Bacon.
No, I don't think that I have ever. I don't think I've ever got.
Now, don't you?
Yes, that sounds delicious. It sounds sweet and savory and fatty and delicious.
So tonight we got some royalty getting on the show here in just a minute, but we also have royalty in the chat right now. We have one of the royal couples of backpacking, and I say royal because they just got back from a trip to Isle Royale, and that is Miyagi on the trail jamming out tonight, and Trips on the trail saying, "Hey guys." So we are excited to have the royal couple of backpacking on here with us today. It's gonna be a good show tonight, man.
Oh, I'm very excited, and I have talked for the last couple of weeks because you and this fellow share a bond that I don't share, but I'm excited to learn about.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And I just want to, if you've never seen this shirt, it's kind of hard. I'm going to move away from the microphone for just a second, so I'll kind of yell loud. But if you've never seen this shirt before, this is our guy today, Mr. Joe Wilderness himself, Mr. Jamie Secord from Canada.
What's
Found
up?
some internet, and he's on here with us right now. What's going on, man?
Man, I'm so excited to be here. What's up, Jeremiah? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, man. And yourself?
Great, man. Highlight of my day for sure.
Dude, so Jamie, we've been talking for what, 3 years now? On Instagram, just started messaging randomly. I don't know who messaged who first, but somehow we started messaging each other. And
I'll tell you, because I will say I was coming on here and I knew right away I was probably going to interrupt just to say I don't think the two of you know how instrumental you were in getting me into hiking.
Oh wow!
I had done a couple hikes, but that's when you start learning about gear, and that's where I found John's channel. And man, you were like maybe 400, 500 subscribers back then. Jeremiah was probably a little bit ahead of you at that point, and you would always reference his videos. So I was like, I didn't want to get overwhelmed in the YouTube world. So I tend to stick to like what I know. And man, I watched everything you guys made for like a year. And I learned so much about gear, and I learned so much about trails and the what not to do and the what to do. And honestly, like I said before, like hiking changed my life, but like you guys are the two guys that I would say like taught me so much.
Wow. That means a lot, man. Thank you so much.
And I would say I probably definitely messaged you first because like it was like I had so many questions and you just seemed so knowledgeable, and man, it made a big difference for sure.
That's awesome, man. Well, all I remember is it was maybe a year and a half ago. You started asking me questions about Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
And you were like, so where did you go? Like what group what outfitter did you use? And we just started talking about this thing, and I've just been like glued to your Instagram for the last year, waiting for like every little part to this trip. And for those people who don't know, just in July, you summited Kilimanjaro. So for people who maybe don't know what Kilimanjaro is, you want to explain a little bit about the mountain to them?
Yeah, man. So Kilimanjaro it's the highest mountain in Africa, the continent of Africa, which makes it one of the 7 summits, which is the 7 highest mountains on every continent. It's one of the biggest volcanoes in the world, and it's actually the tallest freestanding mountain in the world as well, which means it's not part of any mountain range. It's just literally plumped there right in the middle of the land, one big mountain, and it's the 19,341 feet. So it's a good clip. It's a good hike.
Yeah, it is. And you're not kidding when you say it's just like plains and then this massive mountain.
And then this huge mountain.
Yeah.
And you wonder how like that like iconic photo of the mountain that everyone knows when they see it, like you don't think that can be real, and then you get there and you're just surrounded by nothing and this mountain in front of you, miles and miles and miles away.
So I'm gonna Jeremiah already knows I got a lot of questions for this because been there and love. This is like I tell people all the time, Kilimanjaro changed my life. Yep. It was the thing that made me fall in love with hiking and backpacking and everything. It was the thing that did it for me. And were you as shocked as I was to be like starting out in a rainforest with monkeys swinging over you and then ending up in like the Arctic?
Like unbelievably so. Like not over, like every single day the landscape changed, like rainforest to the moorlands to the alpine desert. And then as you're going, it's like there's less and less birds, there's less and less plants. And then you look around and it just looks like you're on Mars. Yeah. And you're still only halfway. So then you start going up, and then it's like you're on Mars, but with ice and a little bit of snow and really, really cold winds. And it's crazy how quick it changes. And I did the 7-day route. I think you did the same. Yeah. Yeah. Machame? Yeah, I did Machame. Yeah. So 7-day route. And so every single day of 7 days, like your weather is changing. Like it's something to witness for sure. Yeah. You start out and it's like 65 degrees. Yeah. And then the first day it's now 45 degrees. After one day of hiking, it drops 20 degrees, and the funny thing is everybody thinks of Africa and they think stupid hot weather, but really Kenya's like temperate. It's like 70, 75 degrees is a high most of the year. Yeah. And I was surprised. And that's, like I said, you land at the airport and you kind of get kicked in the face with that humidity right away. But within 12 hours later, you're cold. You're in your tent and you get your layers on. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the travel situation. So you're living up north in Canada and you have to make it all the way to Africa to do this trek. Yeah. John, I don't know if you've heard or not, but he's talked a little bit on here before about doing Kilimanjaro when he did it, and they lost some of his luggage. And I'm sure, as you can imagine, that's a terrible situation. Oh. How did the travel and everything go for you to go from, I'm sure, a really long flight all the way from Canada over to wherever you touched down in Africa?
Yeah. So we were basically Montreal to London, London to Qatar, Qatar to Kili. And we were traveling just as COVID restrictions have been lifted a while, but like the infrastructure is still just getting used to people traveling again. So right now, if you've seen the news, like Canada is like one of the worst rated countries for airports right now. We're losing everything. Luggage, people's flights are being canceled, delayed. And somehow we got to Africa with everything we needed and no issues at all. A little bit ridiculous. Like we had flight delays, but all that did was shorten our layover from like 8 hours down to 4 hours, like, which is a bonus to begin with. So it's kind of we won, and I don't know how, but it's over now, and I'm going to take it.
So after you got to Africa, and you were getting transported, I assume, to some kind of base camp, because you have a YouTube channel, Joe Wilderness, and you documented your journey on a video on there, and I have seen it, and it seemed like you met an extravagant group of guys, which I would assume were I don't know, is Sherpa's a derogatory term, or is it like
porters?
Guys?
They're porters.
Porters, yeah,
Porters.
Right.
Okay, so you got transported over there, and then I guess you met all those guys.
Yeah. Well, so we picked up from the airport, and you go to a hotel for the first night, and then your hike starts the next day. And yeah, so I mean, we're picking up the porters like in their village on the way. Like it's about a 2-hour drive to the national park, and they just kind of all live on the way. So we start off with 2 or 3 in the bus, then we have 7 or 8, and all of a sudden we're a crew of 30 people. And our support staff was almost 20 people for 6 hikers. Like the ratio is insane, and the work that they do is hands down like the greatest thing I've ever witnessed in person.
Okay, so what was your thought when you first saw one of those guys carrying like a 50 to 100 pound bag resting on their head, and they just take off up the mountain?
Man, so like right at the gate, right? You know how it is. You're all the companies have their buses, and everyone's getting their porters ready. Like he takes my 115-liter duffel bag, and he puts it inside another stuff sack, and then takes 2 more of those and puts it in there, and puts it on his head. And then there's a lineup of 300 of these guys. Like you can't even process it. Like you're standing there in awe. You're just like, you got your little 24-liter day pack, and
they move. They move fast. Like
fast.
You know what pole means, right?
Slowly.
Slow. Yeah, those guys don't go pole. Those guys go. Like they're just gone. Like,
and going uphill quick is one thing, but and if you've seen the video at the end, I kind of show them coming downhill on day 7, and I think I counted 24 porters in a row in the video that I made, and they're all carrying 50, 60 pounds on their head, and they're ripping down the mountain past us. Like they know that trail step for step.
Yep.
And it's a little mind-boggling.
Okay, so something pre-trail I have to ask you about. So I stayed in the same hotel you stayed in because we used Climb Kili. We both did for when we did it. When you saw the eggs with the white yolks, did that freak you out just a bit?
Most of our eggs were scrambled. Maybe they're hiding something. I don't know. I didn't see any white yolk eggs.
So I went up, and they had a lady working the okay, so I never told you about this, Jeremiah. So I was working, there was a lady working the breakfast buffet thing, and she was making eggs for people. And while she's making the eggs, I look, and she pours it out, and it doesn't look like there's any yolk. I'm like, what is going on with these eggs? It was just the yolks in Africa, at least where in that part of Africa, apparently are white, like solid white. And so I was a touch freaked out. I thought I was eating like mutant eggs or something. And anyways, long story short, I didn't know if you had experienced that or not, but I know it freaked me out when I was there. And I didn't know if anybody else got a chance to experience the amazing nuclear white yolk eggs like I did.
I did not, but I mean, I'd like to see it. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Wow.
I will say the food on trail was better than the food at the hotel.
Yeah, the soup.
The soup
How
every day,
much soup did
lunch
you eat?
and supper.
Yeah,
lunch and supper every day for 7 days, and if not multiple bowls per meal for sure. Yeah. Especially, and I didn't really touch on it in the video, but on day 3, I went into mild hypothermia. And the only thing I could get down was coffee and soup. And so I was shaking and trying to get the soup into me, and I was able to come out of it. But man, that soup, delicious.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so Jeremiah, you got to understand what they do. Okay, he's talking about these Sherpa or these porters carrying stuff up. They're not just carrying huge bags of gear; they're carrying a kitchen up.
Are they carrying
like literally a kitchen? It's a tent, and then inside they're cooking all the food. We had fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. We had fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Fried
Right?
chicken on
Right?
He walked in with fried chicken, and I said, "Are you kidding me? Get out of here!"
Yeah.
Man.
So good, man. So good. And like they'll make popcorn for you. And like it's unreal. These guys who do this, they do it right. And they really pamper you, which is pretty cool. But
For sure.
so I want to ask you about this. You just mentioned one thing. One of the things I learned about Kilimanjaro was that elevation does different things to different people. What are some of the stories of things that people were dealing with elevation? Because the United States, our highest mountain in the 48, the lower 48, is 14,000 feet.
Yep.
Nothing over 15,000 feet in the lower 48, and you're camping at 16,000 at one point.
Yeah.
What was the elevation like, and how did it affect some of the people on the trip?
For me and most of our 6 crew, our biggest thing was sleep. It just destroyed your sleep and your appetite, really. Like, man, you know how much food they make.
Yeah.
Like they know how much calories you need per day to even just break even for the hike you're doing. So they're making you food of like noodles and rice and meat sauce and meat and fruit. They're loading you up, and you look at that and you're just like, man, I'm so hungry, but I cannot eat that at all. Can't eat at all.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of the appetite, loss of sleep for sure. A lot of brain fog, I would say. I got a fly here; it's killing me. Yeah, a lot of brain fog, a lot of like decisions like you might not make on trail that you're making. Like, oh, I'm going to step on this rock, and then you realize, oh, I shouldn't have done that, but your brain is just not working at the speed it should be.
Did anybody? You said that it was a crew of 6 hikers, right?
For us, yeah.
Okay. I have a 2-part question here. Did you already know any of those people beforehand, and did they have any ill effects from the elevation like John was talking about?
So the only one I knew of the 6 was my full-time hiking partner, Joel. So we traveled together. The 2 from South Carolina were a married couple. We didn't know them, but they obviously knew each other. And then we had 1 solo dude from Philly, and we had a solo female from Slovakia. So none of us really knew each other other than the 2 that we traveled with. And elevation-wise, they kind of experienced the same thing I did. On summit day on our way down, the sun was a little bright. It really hurt Joel's eyes. He had a little bit of snow blindness going on. But outside of that, our crew didn't really experience too much. But some like me, we saw people getting piggybacked up and down the mountain. You know, we saw people evac'd on stretchers, like people using oxygen. And it's not really, I mean, they carry oxygen for emergencies, but it's not really an oxygen type of hike. But people were using it, and all altitude related. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So I know, like, when I went, I kind of prepared for the elevation. What things did you do to prepare for the elevation? Were you taking Diamox, or did you do any exercising that would get your lungs ready for the lack of oxygen when you're up there?
So I do run a lot, but I mean, I did buy like one of those altitude masks, and I was going to train with it for like 6 months and get ready. You know how that kind of thing goes. Like it felt like a novelty. It felt like kind of like, I'm not going to use this thing. So not really like for altitude wise. I did take Diamox. I was the only one who arrived in the country without it, because I was pretty adamant that I wasn't going to take it, because I really wanted to try and summit naturally. And then there's like this massive peer pressure at our group meeting right before the day of the mountain. And the guide was just like, you should be using Diamox. And I was like, okay, man, the couple from South Carolina had spare, and they were like, we got enough for you, so you may as well take it. It's here. We're not going to use it. So I did use it.
What is it?
It's a medication that just helps you acclimatize to the altitude a little bit better.
Because basically, when you get to certain altitudes, your blood vessels, basically the walls thicken on them a little bit, and it makes your blood makes it kind of difficult for blood flow to some degree. And the Diamox works to kind of counteract that. And it's really weird when you first take it. Probably about a half hour after you take it, you start feeling tingly in your fingers. And it's like, everybody who takes it, we'd all look at each other and go, do you feel the tingle? You know, the first day we're all freaked out by it because nobody understood what was going on. Because you're like, why am I feeling like this? And then you realize that's one of the minor side effects of it. Jeremiah, the Riff Outdoors wanted to. He heard the Porters are sponsored by Gonex, so he thought you might be jealous that they get all the Gonex gear.
That's okay. I'll let them use all the Gonex gear that they want. That's some.
I think a lot of those guys are sponsored by whatever we leave behind.
Those guys, that cannot be good for their vertebrae. I wonder, like, let's say, were there any older people that were porters, or is it mostly young guys, like 25, 30?
For me, it was mostly younger guys, and I think it probably stays that way because it seems like they work in like a hierarchical, like type of situation. You start as like the bottom porter who carries the toilets, and you work your way up to maybe chef and assistant guide and guide. So that takes a while to transition. So I think it's probably all young guys that are porters. Not always. There's definitely exceptions. I saw some older porters. I saw some female porters. I saw some older female porters, some older male porters. But I would assume mostly young guys.
Yeah, I think when I was there, the prevailing thing was it's a great job for when you're younger.
Yep.
Because it gives you some extra money, and you get to kind of have an adventure. And a lot of the guys that are older that are still doing it actually just love Kilimanjaro. Like they genuinely love
my guide, my lead guide. He's summited over 300 times.
Oh,
he started as a porter in 1984, and he's still going. He does the 7-day route. He takes a day or two off, and then he starts the 7-day route again.
Yep.
And he's 53 years old. He loves it, man. He loves it.
Did you have a certain porter that you would consider your favorite, or like any very interesting characters? It always seems like there's at least one.
Yeah, and honestly, his name escapes me right now. But they called him the engineer, the toilet engineer. So with the company that John and I both use, we get our own private tent with a little toilet in it, so you don't have to use the toilet at the campsites. What's
one
that?
per
Oh,
camp?
no, one per camp.
No.
One per camp.
No, one per camp. Yeah, one per camp. But still better than using the public toilets that are just a hole in the ground.
Oh, I bet.
And honestly, like I said, his name's escaping me right now. It's at the end of the video, but he just had this personality that he was infectious, and he really, really loved being on the mountain. And he loved the mountain itself. Like he would pick up any small piece of litter, and not that there was a lot, which impressed me very, very much. But he loved that mountain. He takes care of it, and he takes a lot of pride in his job.
Yeah, the thing I thought was fun too was and I don't know if this was how it was when you were there, but in the mornings you would wake up to someone knocking on your tent, and they were bringing you hot coffee or hot chocolate or whatever you wanted. I had redneck mochas every single morning. Wait for me right there. What's that?
What's a redneck mocha?
Redneck mocha is coffee with hot chocolate.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I would call that just a regular mocha.
So it's a redneck mocha, man. It's great.
But you know what? And I will say, like on the mountain, like I don't eat a lot of sugar in real life. But like just adding sugar and cream to your coffee when you can't eat a whole lot is just like free calories. And that got me by a whole lot on some of those mornings.
Oh yeah.
Just like 3 or 4 sugars in the coffee, a whole bunch of milk in the coffee, just to get that little bit of extra calorie in you.
Yeah. Jeremiah, Miyagi said he heard that the porters also have merch too. So you better get on it.
That's another guy I can't wait to meet. Miyagi, I love you. I love you and Trips.
Yeah, Miyagi's pretty awesome. Somebody brought this up to myself, and maybe it was just to me, but I thought they brought it to me and Jeremiah, was the fact that Miyagi probably gets more promotion on this podcast than anybody else. Like even more so than Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. I think we talk about Miyagi more than we talk about. He's left an impression. Let's just leave it that way.
But he's in the comments, so it's all good.
Absolutely. Okay, here's a good question, and the answer is easy, but I'll let you answer it. Are there any bodies on the mountain like Everest?
I walked over 132 myself.
Yeah, I walked over 723.
Graveyard up there.
No, there are no bodies on the mountain, as far as I know. I mean, unless there's an exception somewhere that they can't get to, but I really doubt it. I don't think so at all.
Well, and they have ways to get people off the mountain. It's not like Everest where once you've there's certain parts of Everest when you get there, if you die, they can't get you back down. There's just no way they can get you down. But in Kilimanjaro, they actually have these you probably saw them when you were walking down at the end.
Yeah.
They had these like little carts. They're like 3-wheel carts, and they can put you on there like a stretcher, and they can roll you right down the mountain. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
so
I
okay,
have for you.
Go ahead, Jeremiah. Go ahead.
I want to talk about gear with you for a minute. And since you live up north, I assume that you have much warmer clothing and gear than I would have living in Kentucky. So I was curious, for your trip, did you have to buy anything special or out of the ordinary in order for your summit?
Not really. Like, I had the Merino wool base layers already because I deal with Canadian winter. I hike a lot in upper New York State, which is, the same winter as we are here in Ontario. So anything I did need to buy was not really like summit related. Like, I needed a big duffel bag and I needed a few different things, but nothing summit related. I already had the winter boots and the base layers and the hardcore gloves and hats and balaclavas. And
is there something that
I will say, when it comes to gear, they definitely gear it towards like the people coming maybe from the warmest climates ever. Because they were very like adamant, like, you need this and you need this. And I was like, chill out, man. Like, I'm Canadian. It's all good. It's not going to be that cold at the summit. Trust me. And they were like, nope, it's going to be the coldest thing you ever experience. And it wasn't. I mean, it was cold, but it was not that bad.
Well, and that's something we were going to talk about tonight because when you went, I told you this earlier. I watched your video and I just sat there jealous because your weather was perfect. When we got to the top, when we got to Stella, which is the peak before you get to the main peak. Yeah, I was standing in 30-mile-an-hour winds and -30 wind chills with snow blowing everywhere. And I watched your video and I'm like, dude, it's not even like blowing wind. Like, they're just like chilling up on top of this mountain. That is not fair. And I remember thinking to myself, that's awesome that you got such good weather while you were there.
Man, like we were not going till October because we were planning on summiting on my hiking partner's 40th birthday. And I kind of pulled an audible and I said, man, I think we need to go in the summertime just to, I wasn't not confident that we'd make it to the summit, but I wanted to like guarantee as much as we possibly could by making everything the peak conditions. No pun intended. And so I said, I think we got to switch to summer. I think we got to go when it's hot. So that we don't have to maybe deal with snow and ice and crampons and ice axes and stuff I didn't really want to get into.
Yeah.
And you're right, man. Once we got above the clouds on day 2, the fog cleared around lunchtime and we didn't really see clouds again after that. And it was day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. You can see the camps that we stayed at and the clouds are like right here. We're just above them and there's nothing stopping our views at all.
So tell everybody about Summit Day and how that works, because a lot of people they've never done anything like this. They don't realize that Summit Day is actually very special for a lot of reasons, not just because you're hitting the summit, but the way they approach getting up there. Why don't you share a little bit about like what Summit Day is like?
I haven't talked about this yet without crying.
Yeah.
That's Summit Day was, I said at the time, the hardest thing I've ever done. Once I got home, like in hindsight, I don't know that it was, but mentally. So we started Summit Day technically the night before at 11 o'clock because we woke up 11, popcorn, cookies, hot chocolate, coffee, just to kind of give us a sugar kick to get us going. And then once we started hiking, man, it was literally 6 hours of pitch black, headlamp to the ground, looking at the feet in front of you, taking 6-inch baby steps.
Yep.
And dude, like that was like 2 steps and then stop and take a breath. And the first 5 days, like my crew we became family in 5 days.
Yep.
And on day 6, nobody said a word until the porter would just yell out water. And that would be our cue to like, okay, stop taking baby steps, drink a little bit of water, and let's keep going. It was intense. Mentally, I don't know that I've recovered yet. Like things happened in my brain mentally. Like I had conversations like with people that weren't really there. Just I don't know if it was closure. I don't know what it was, but but your brain is telling you, like, you don't have to do this. If you turn around and go home right now, you could be with your wife and your cats in your RV one more day quicker, you know? And everything is like having a devil and a devil on your shoulder. And it was like, no, turn around, go home. And then the other one's like, no, this is awesome. Keep going. And it was maybe not physically the hardest thing I've ever done, but mentally it'll be hard to beat that. It was very, very difficult mentally.
Yeah. Cause they get you up at midnight.
Yeah.
Because they want you to get, and why do they get you up at midnight? Why do they want to do that?
Well, they want to see the sunrise at Stella Point or wherever you happen to be.
Yep.
Along the hike. And we did. We got a wicked sunrise. I'm sure you saw it in the video. Like, it was like you just turned to your right and it's like, oh my God, look at that. And that's but the other thing about the summit day is we were about 6 hours from camp to the peak. But in the time of just staring at the boots ahead of you, you literally have no concept of time. When they tell you to take a break, like, I don't know if it's been 20 minutes or it's been 2 hours. So Stella Point really crept up on us. And then that's when you kind of know, like, oh, okay, we've got an hour to the summit. But then you get back into hiking mode and you don't know what an hour is. And then all of a sudden you start hearing people ahead of you, they're yelling because they're celebrating hitting the summit. And you kind of realize, like, oh, the hour must have passed because we're there. But time was out the window. Time was not something that existed at all.
So have I told you my story about the summit day?
No.
Okay. So we get up at 12, just like you guys did. And we start hiking. And like you said, 6-inch steps going really slow. You've got 3,000 feet to climb. You know, this is not like a minor climb. You're doing it like on very little sleep. Yep. And so we're hiking up and my nose is starting to run. And so I'm constantly wiping it with my glove. My gloves are red that I'm wearing. And so I'm wiping my nose as I'm hiking up. And we get to our first stop. And my buddy Darren, who was there with me, he turns around and looks at me. And he goes, dude, you're bleeding. I had rubbed my nose completely wrong, was bleeding all over the front of my white raincoat. Oh, and so I go, get me wipes, get me something right now. And so, because if any one of the porters had seen that, they would have reported it. I had to go back down because they would have assumed it would have been like altitude. I'm like, so I got all that stuff wiped off of me and cleaned off, and I'm soaking wet because it's all the wet wipes, you know. Yeah. Got all that stuff cleaned off and shoved toilet paper up my nose and just prayed nobody would see it. And just kept hiking.
I did the same with the hypothermia on day 3. I went to the lunch tent. I just kind of stuck to myself, got some warm in me, but I did not tell anybody because I thought for sure that they were going to kick me off the mountain. And I knew at that point it wasn't serious yet. It was very mild, and I knew I could beat it. And that if I couldn't beat it, then I would say, okay, I got to go. But I didn't want them to make that decision for me, and I did the same thing.
Yeah, and when we got to Stella, to get to Uhuru Peak, when we wanted to make that last run, was like what, a mile long? Is that right?
Yeah,
about a mile. That's when the wind hit. That's when the snow hit. And we all just had to decide, are we going to go or are we not? And our guide flat out told us, you can stop here. You're at the top of the mountain. You're not at the highest point of the mountain, but you are at the top of the mountain. You can say you summited Kilimanjaro. And I remember there was a high school kid in our group, and he just took off. And then this other girl took off, and we had 16 in our group.
They went down?
I just remember, when we went there, like that's how many people went up in our group, was 16. Yeah. And I remember just looking at everybody, and they're all trying to figure out what they want to do. I said, forget it. And I just took off. Yeah, and 30 miles an hour, I was seeing false summits the whole way up because we didn't make it there in time for the sunrise because just how bad the conditions were. And so I'm seeing false summit, false summit, false summit. And when I finally saw the entrance to that thing, I remember you probably got this too. You got the packet, right? That told you all about the mountain climb before you went. And in it, it says a lot of people get really emotional when they get to the top of the mountain. Yep. I remember reading that and laughing because I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're going to climb the top of a mountain and cry? No, that's not going to happen. Bro, I cried like a freaking baby when I crossed that.
That's so peak. Funny. Because I know myself, so I read that and I was like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm gonna bawl my eyes out." And I knew Joelle, my hiking partner, would do the same, and we did, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't cry for anything, and like, I mean, I didn't cry when my kids were born. I was excited. I was happy. I just don't cry. I'm not a crying person.
Sure.
And man, I bawled my eyes out. I cried. Every step I was remembering, okay, these people who were supporting me, this person who helped me learn how to hike the right way, these people were showing me how to do this, these people were helping me with that. I was doing it for a cause. We were building wells in Ethiopia. And so all the people that had given thousands of dollars to help build these wells and all this stuff just built up. And by the time I crossed the peak, it was like this huge exhale and just everything went. It was like so emotional. So when you say, yeah, go ahead.
Those are the conversations you're having in your head for those 6-hour hike up, right? Like,
yeah,
like you're thinking about those people and what you've done to get there.
Yeah, because it's something you train for. It's something you prepare for, and you get there, and it's just like it just hits you all at once, and it's unbelievably emotional.
Unbelievably.
Yeah. I'm so glad you got to experience it, man. That's the thing. I love when I get to hear other people's stories about experiencing it, what it meant. What was the first feeling you felt when you crossed the line and you actually were on the peak? Of course, that's when it's gonna glitch.
Honestly, I was busy.
Okay, hang on. You got to do it again. Your internet glitched on us. Like you went to say it, and it just glitched and went dead silent. So let's do it again.
So I was actually filming the sunrise, so I didn't notice right away. And I think I left that part in the video. It was like I'm filming the sunrise over here, and I start hearing people like woo, woo, and I was like, oh my god, we're there. It's like I didn't know. I love being that first person to be like, oh, there's the summit. Like when we get to this, I like being that first guy. So not being that first guy, like it took me right out of it. I was like, oh, someone else got there first. Someone else noticed first. But it was just like pure joy. And not just for myself, but for the other 5 that I hiked with. Like, you know how that group is. Like you become family real quick. And knowing what they went through and knowing that we supported each other and we got there 6 for 6 in our crew, everyone made it. It was like the emotional roller coaster just opened up and everything flooded out. And it was just pure happiness.
And these are new lifetime friends.
100%.
Yeah, I still talk to a lot of the people that I hiked up there with. I mean, there were 16 of us, so we weren't quite as like tight-knit as maybe you were with your 6.
Yeah.
But there are 5 or 6 people from that trip that I still talk to probably weekly. And
for sure. We have a WhatsApp group chat. And then when I hit the road this winter in my RV, when we're heading down south, like I'm stopping on the way. We're definitely going to visit and bring them some merch from the place that I live and work. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean they're lifetime friends.
What did they think?
Now, how many? Oh, go ahead, Jeremiah.
What did they think about you filming trip? Because I saw you had a GoPro on you, right?
Yeah. It was, and honestly, it was a last minute decision for me to even bring it. I was like going back and forth because I'm not a YouTuber, but I love video editing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to want this memory. Joelle's going to want this memory. I got to do it. And literally like just clearing through customs, getting outside of the airport, I pulled it out and I'm starting to record. And then I found the group and they were just like, it was almost like, oh, I guess we got the guy in the group who's going to record us. And I was like, yo, are you guys cool with this? And they were just like, yeah, like it's going to be really fun. And, you know, I mean, sometimes it's obnoxious having the camera in your face, but after they saw the video, I think everyone was very, very happy that I did. And I was super, super pumped that it turned out the way it did.
So how many different nationalities were in your group?
2 Canadians, 3 Americans, and a female from Slovakia.
Slovakia.
So 3 different nationalities. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very like well-traveled people. Like these guys, they travel a lot, which is really awesome. So we had a lot of stories to share.
Yeah, I found that out with the group I was with too. It was a lot of people who they just have been everywhere.
Yeah,
this was my first everywhere. You know, this was my first time doing anything like it, and they were all just telling me all their stories of world travel and all that. And I'm just sitting there like in awe.
How much had you hiked before you decided to do Kili?
I accidentally hiked 12 miles in college on a 3-mile loop when I was trying to impress a girl. And nice. Then I started training for Kilimanjaro in 2015. So that was it. Like I didn't start I never really hiked until Kilimanjaro. Like I can honestly say that I never like got together with friends like, hey, let's go for a hike. I never wanted to, never thought about it. And then I started to, and Like, we know this. It changed everything. It changed everything.
Yep.
Suddenly, I was at the Red River Gorge 3 times a month. I was at my local trails every single day, just I was hiking to get ready for that. I was hiking about 45, 50 miles a week.
Crazy.
Just trying to get myself to where like my whole goal was I didn't want to be the last one to summit. I did not want to be the last one to summit.
That's a good goal because at least you're saying you're going to summit, right?
Oh yeah, I was summiting. There was no doubt I was summiting, but I wasn't going to be the last one. Like I wanted to be the first one.
The only doubt for me was like crept in like when we were there. Before we got there, I was like, there's 0% chance that I'm not going to summit. It's definitely happening. Yeah. But then it was like, once you're on the mountain and you see it in person, I was like, okay, maybe there's a little chance that I don't make it. It's like you start feeling the effects day after day after day. And then that's when the doubt crept in for me a little bit, but
yeah,
not too bad.
Well, when you get to those 16,000 foot camps and you look up and you realize it's still all the way up there.
The whole mountain's still in front of you.
Yeah, it looks like there's still a whole mountain, and you climbed most of it.
Yeah,
but you still got all of that. It's crazy. Like crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. It is the craziest thing in the world.
I like, and not just because I love mountains and I love hiking, but like I would encourage anyone, if you're never going to climb any mountains, try Kilimanjaro.
Yeah,
because it is literally almost anyone can do it if you put your mind to it. But the awe that you would be in to be in its presence is worth it alone. Even if you don't summit, it's worth it.
Yeah. We had a 69-year-old woman who had broken her wrist 6 weeks before she went up there, and she summited, and she made it. 69 years old.
It's doable. It's a very doable mountain for such a big beast.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, were there any points where it got hairy for you? Like, got a little bit... Were there any of the spots where you were kind of like, oh, this is kind of shady?
No, I don't think so. Like I know people like to talk about the kissing wall, which is like this spot where it's very narrow. The guides kind of stand behind you in case you fall, and it's just one of these. You got to hug it and shimmy your way across.
Well, and it's really not that bad because it's all trees and stuff. Yeah, like we
really
actually had a guy drop his sunglasses and go down and get them.
yeah.
So.
I don't think there was anything really like terrible for me. Just again, like the mild hypothermia and the stuff that you were feeling, the effects of the altitude. But nothing hiking wise that I would have said like, no, like everything that came up, I was excited for. The Barranco wall.
Oh man.
Like this 900-foot wall. You only end up doing maybe 5K that day. And you only gain about 250 feet of elevation, but it's because you climb up and over this 1,000-foot wall and then go back down.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at the day, and I'm looking at the itinerary, like, oh, this day is gonna be easy. No elevation gain, but it's you go up 1,000, you come back down.
Yeah. Well, and there was one spot on that because I'm short, dude. I'm short and I have hobbit appendages. Okay.
And so is my hiking partner Joel. So I see it every time, man.
Yeah, like I got these like stubby legs, stubby arms, and I was going up the Barranco wall, and there's just one space where you have to kind of hop across this like 6-foot gap. And I've got video of it, and my hand is shaking like 1,000 miles an hour because my legs don't reach. Like we had to have our guide over there to reach with his hand and pull me over because I wouldn't have made it otherwise. So I'm so jealous of you tall people when it comes to stuff like that, man. Like Jeremiah would just probably be like, it's no big deal, and just kind of step over like it's nothing.
Over it. Yeah, man. You just step over it.
And then there's those of us where if we miss it, we're going to fall 300 or 400 feet and break every bone in our body, Which is kind of like the joke I always say to Joel. Like, he's like, oh, how am I supposed to get over that with these short legs? And I always just say, just do it. Like, just step over it. Just, just do
That's
it.
what I say to my wife, man. But those little short, stubby people, it's hard.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about Kilimanjaro. Can I ask you, like, you're into hiking, you're into backpacking, and you've had a lot of life change because of it. Like, what is the most impactful change that's happened in your life because of that?
Man, that's a loaded question.
You got that right. That's why we're here.
I think we're asking the hard questions tonight. I think the biggest change, like, it would probably be like personal to me. Like, I've done a lot for the community. I've met a lot of people online. I love Instagram. And I love the people that I meet on there. But like hiking has introduced me to photography because it kind of goes hand in hand. I used to, back in high school, do a lot of video editing, and I got out of it because there was not really anything in my life worthy of video editing for. So it's gotten me back into that. It's gotten me so in touch with my own self, like internally, mentally, just getting to know myself and just getting to know just how to become that person that finds your limits and pushes past them. And I think the biggest change has been just in my personality. Like, I used to be very quiet, and I mean, I still am, and I enjoy being a loner a lot. But hiking, man, like when you're out on the trail, you know how it is. Everyone says hi. And, 10 years ago, I would have been that guy that walked by on the trail, just like keep to myself, but man, you get out there and it's infectious, and it helps bring out that personality in you, and it helps you see that, the world's got some good left in it. And I think that's probably the best thing about the outdoor community is that people are just so nice and so giving, and it's not a competitive sport. It's very much like, let's build each other up. And I feel like hiking's brought me to that point where I'm comfortable doing that with other people as well.
That's awesome.
It also, it kind of forces you to give yourself time for like self-reflection and then introspection. And like, I think it pushes you toward a perspective shift, because life is so busy, and then you get out and then all the distractions are gone. And it's kind of like, if you've never really been on a backpacking trip, it's kind of like going for a drive in your car. If you were to just turn off the radio and roll the windows down, and then you're just present, is how I would describe it.
Yeah, man. And for days on end, right? Like that's such a nice thing is to be able to turn the world off for a little bit, whether it's a day, whether it's a week, or whatever it is, like just to be able to get back to simplicity has been nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so there's a question I need to ask you though, because there's a lot of things about hiking that change your life. There are a lot of things that philosophically change it, that just the way of life change. What's your best poop story on trail?
Oh, that's the hard hitting.
Because let's be honest, they're asking, they want it. Like,
that is the hard hitting.
They want it, and like, I'm not even kidding you. Right here it is. 45 minutes and no poop questions. What's going on here? So,
amazing.
So we got to know, man.
My best poop story on trail. I'm gonna think on it for a second. I'm gonna say my best pee story on trail though, and this is something you got me into hammocking, like very early on. And I don't hammock all the time. I mostly tent camp, but I love to hammock in the summer especially. And I just remember the first time where I really hammock camped, and that morning 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. I had to pee, and I said, "Man, I don't even have to get out of this thing." Just unzip the side, you roll over a little bit, and you just dangle, and you know what? It works. And that was like game changer for me. So I'm gonna hammock.
You gotta watch your shoes. Watch your shoes on the ground.
But you got to be aware of that night before anyway.
Yeah,
I know where they're at.
Don't pee uphill. Don't pee uphill.
Don't pee uphill. My best poop story on the trail is probably not even mine. It's probably Joel's, my hiking partner. He does not love pooping on trail. Like, he will hold it if we're on a 12-hour day, he will hold it.
So if a man poops off a ridge line in Kilimanjaro, does it make a sound? It's probably hitting somebody below, honestly. There's so many people on that mountain.
Oh man, there's so many people on that mountain. So he does not like pooping on trail. So I remember one time, like, he was holding it. We found a privy box in the Adirondacks, so he didn't have to dig a hole. But the wooden lid just wouldn't stop falling on his back. And it's like it was a long one. He was in the woods for 15, 20 minutes, and the whole time he was there, it was like falling on his back, just irritated. It's the only good poop story I got, I think.
Well, that's pretty fun, though. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm right there with Joel. If I can, I will hold it and play the don't poop in the woods game. But you should buy him one of the poop hammocks, man.
A poop hammock? What's that?
Yeah, the poop hammock.
See, you're still teaching me about new gear.
Okay, I gotta go find it here. Which is going to be first, Miyagi's Brad Pods or Jeremiah's merch? It wasn't either one. It was the poop hammock.
Yes,
talked about.
Sorry, Miyagi.
So this is going to change Joel's life. It is it's like a hammock chair, except it's a toilet. So he just digs his hole under it and hangs the little hammock seat with the hole in it, and then he can sit on it like a toilet.
Is it ultralight though?
It's pretty light. How light is it, John? Maybe 5 ounces?
I mean,
4
it's sitting right back here. So, I mean, it's not
like,
too heavy. Just a few
I'm gonna
ounces.
look that up.
It's the size of your fist if you were to just ball the fabric and like cordage and stuff up. So it's very small.
His birthday's in a few weeks, so I think
John
I just got a birthday present idea.
It's great in the fall and the spring. In the
Cool.
summer, it's a little hot and a little not as good.
Right.
And in the wintertime, it's miserable because your body shouldn't freeze there.
So what's winter like down there?
Down here in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Oh, it's mild.
Do we have winter? Do we have winter down here?
Like what's your lowest temperature?
I mean, it can get into single digits.
Okay.
It can.
That's cool.
Doesn't often. It doesn't often.
Yeah.
Typically, you're talking upper teens, low 20s.
That's not bad.
Is the lowest.
I don't know if this is global warming or what, and I have not looked at the weather statistical data. But John, I will tell you, I have become friends with this guy at work. His name is Gary. He's 74 years old, and he gets around better than me. It's incredible.
Wow.
But anyway, he keeps telling me all these stories. He's been alive for a long, long time, and he's always lived kind of in this area. And he's telling me about the very harsh winters from when he was a kid and a young man down here. He was like, we would get feet of snow. And I was like, dude, I've seen feet of snow, twice in my life living in Kentucky. It just doesn't happen.
Well, where did he grow up? Did he actually grow up like in central Kentucky, or did he grow up in the mountains like in eastern Kentucky?
I think right around where I'm at, south central Kentucky.
Okay.
But it could be a little worse in the hollers or in the mountains over there, eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, I remember there's been a few times where we've had massive blizzards. Like we have had them.
Yeah.
They just don't happen often. So, but here's
why I'm driving south this winter.
Well, I was gonna say Canada, you got no problem having that stuff, right? Like that stuff's all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like December to like March or so, but not every Canadian loves it. I'll tell you that.
I believe that. I believe that. I lived in
fan.
Wisconsin for 4 years. That was bad enough for me.
Oh yeah, that's bad news.
I was like right off Lake Michigan. I was good. I'm like, I don't need to do this again.
Yeah, gross, man.
Sorry, Miyagi. Love you, but I can't do it.
Yeah,
can't do it.
No, that's a summer visiting place.
Yeah. Speaking of Miyagi, he wanted to share something with us when we said we talk about him all the time. He said, "I'm sorry and you're welcome."
Yeah.
Followed that up with, "I love you all." To which Doc Watson says, "We love you too, smooch." And which that would have been enough, but then he had to take it too far, and he said, "I just can't resist those shorts." LOL. For those who are wondering what he's talking about, Miyagi probably wears the shortest hiking shorts known to man.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable. Like there's gonna come a day when all he's wearing
down
is a belt.
his average view time.
Yeah, there's gonna come a day where he's just wearing a belt, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to buy me some of those short shorts like Miyagi has.
Are you really?
Navy's basketball team.
Yeah, that's what I'll look like. Maybe I'll be able to dunk if I wear them. I don't know, but
maybe.
I was looking on backcountry.com, man. I have a gift card on there, and I just typed in like shorts. I was like, I need to buy me some athletic shorts, and I found some 4-inch inseam shorts. And I said, they can't come much shorter than this, man. They can't.
What are you talking about, dude? Those come down to my knees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Hobbit legs, man.
Inappropriate.
But I'd try them. I'd try them. But I could signal a plane with my white legs.
Well, Dog Plus Girl Adventure said or Girl Plus Dog Adventure says you should do a 2-inch inseam.
2-inch inseam.
I like a 2-inch inseam on some people, but I don't know about you boys.
Jeff Peters is on here singing "Who Wears Short Shorts."
We wear short shorts. Oh,
you're wearing shorts right now.
I'm wearing shorts too, but I can promise you're not going to catch me wearing short shorts. I don't. No. I care about the people I come into contact with, and I just don't want to put them through that.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
We can get some short shorts, John. Rock them on trail, man.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I really do care about people, and I care about them being able to keep their food down. So I'm that guy. I love people. So
Did I tell you? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did I tell you on that last trip that I went with Jason that I wore blue jeans the first day? Did I tell you?
What? No.
Yeah. So I came straight from work, right? And I knew that I'd hiked in before and I was wanting to camp at the same spot. It's like an hour walk in. And I brought shorts and I was going to wear shorts. But then I was talking to Gary at work and he was like, boy, you are going to get eat up. And I was like, well, I did get eat up 2 weekends in a row prior to that wearing shorts. I was like, but I'd have to drive home and that would make me late for meeting Jason because you don't have much daylight when you get off work at like 4 o'clock and then still have to drive to the trailhead. So I was like, I'm not going to drive home. I'm just going to take these jeans and I have an extra pair of shorts and I got like leggings to sleep in. So I wore jeans for that hour walk in and I am so glad that I did and didn't wear the shorts.
Why didn't you just wear the leggings under the shorts?
No, I couldn't do that, man. They were a 200 weight like merino wool legging. I would have sweated to death.
You were wearing jeans. What's the difference?
Yeah,
now, let me tell you, dude, you probably can't see it. I can text you some pictures. There's a little discoloration there. Dude, the poison ivy that Jason got all over his butt and it's all over my arm. Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm sorry. So I'm texting with Jeremiah and we're just talking about like recent stuff. And Jeremiah goes, yeah, I got this awful poison ivy all over my arms. And I go, man, that stinks. He goes, yeah, it's not as bad as Jason. He got it all over his butt. He went to poop and apparently sat in it. So
yeah. Well, if I had have worn the shorts, dude, my legs, my arms, it has been 2.5 weeks now, and they are just now to the point where the scabs are starting to come off where the poison ivy was so bad and pussing out. And I was wearing my Outdoor Vital shirt and I rolled up the sleeves because I was getting hot in the jeans, right? And we went through briars and all this stuff because it was still a little summertime, starting to enter fall. But man, I'm glad I didn't have those short shorts in because my legs, not only were they got all torn up from the briars and chiggers and mosquitoes, but also poison ivy would have been lethal. So Miyagi, sometimes short shorts are not for the win.
But he is telling us which ones to get on Amazon if you want some. So there's the Padola shorty shorts off Amazon for people that want to know. So $20, lots of colors,
Amazing.
So listen, Jamie, it's been awesome having you on here, man. It has been awesome having you on here. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you online, because you do post some really great stuff, and I want as many people as they can to watch that Kilimanjaro movie. So why don't you kind of share where you are online and how people can find you?
My biggest thing is Instagram. I love photography. I don't love reels. I love photography and I love to pay attention to Instagram. And I hate the word followers. People on my Instagram are my friends. And I really like to dig deep on Insta and touch base with people. So that's probably the number one place. If you're going to talk to me, like throw me a DM on Instagram.
And you will answer. You will definitely answer. You will definitely answer.
Oh yeah, man. I love it. And you know what? I don't follow people who aren't hikers. Instagram is my happy place. Every time I open it, the photos that are popping up is it makes me happy. Whereas like Facebook, I do have a Facebook, but I just don't use it because it's friends and family, or it's the locals, or it's just more negative. So Instagram for sure. I'm on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/showwilderness. Please check out the Kilimanjaro video. I put my heart and soul into the hike, but I put my heart and soul into that video. And it's the best video I've ever made. And it's gotten me really a lot of good feedback. And you can really see what it takes to get from the bottom to the top of Kilimanjaro and enjoy it along the way.
And if anybody on here has hiked Kilimanjaro, you got to watch it. It'll just bring back so many memories, and it just brings back so much emotion that you felt when you were hiking it. So it was just awesome watching it for me.
Thank you.
Just from that standpoint. So really appreciate you being on here, man. Jeremiah, do you have anything else?
Well, I just want to say it's a pleasure to officially meet you, at least in capacity. And hopefully we'll get a chance to backpack together. I'd really love to hit up the Adirondacks. I know Justin It's Good in the Woods is also kind of around that area, and a few other guys that we know. So maybe if we could sort something out in the future, in the next year or two, make a trip up to the Adirondacks and kind of meet up with you.
So I'm trying to plan for guys like us, an Adirondack week where people could just show up. You know, if they can come on the Wednesday, they come on the Wednesday. If you can be there on the Monday, but we're going to do like a 7-day, and I'm going to find some farmland that's going to let us camp, and hopefully next summer, if not the summer after, but it's definitely going to happen.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Looking forward to that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I honestly thank you guys for having me. Like I said at the start, like you guys changed my life with the information you guys put out there, and it really makes a difference. And it's awesome to see that being passed along to, like, you know, rookies who message me now for that same advice that I would have messaged you 4 years ago.
Well, that means a lot, man. Thank you. It's people like you that is why we make the content. So it's good. It's good to see that come to fruition on here and get to hang out and talk with you.
So cool.
And it's kind of fun because we have people that's why we do this stuff. You know, it's just like cyclical, just kind of keeps going, which is awesome to give back. So
amazing.
Well, thanks for being on here, man. Hang out in the green room for just a couple minutes and we're going to kind of close things out. But man, thank you so much for being on tonight.
Thank you guys. See everybody later.
What a great story, man.
Yeah, and like I said, it's great to see you all connect, and I could see the happiness in your eyes and the memories and you sharing. That was awesome, dude.
Dude, geeked out. Totally geeked out when I heard we were going to be talking about Kilimanjaro. I was just like, here we go, man. Let's go, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting thing. Can I show you something?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's see what this young man has here.
I like the fact that you just called me a young man.
Well, I'm 30 now.
Really nice of you.
We're in the same club.
Yeah, your birthday was this past week. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
we're both young men now.
Well, I'm getting ready to enter more like the old man. But so we've been talking for a while about chairs, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think it was on this show we talked about this chair from from Big Agnes.
Yeah, Big Agnes.
Sits 15 inches high.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
But it weighs like 1.5 pounds, a little over 1.5 pounds.
Oh, you have it. He has it in hand, folks.
It's not mine. Okay.
I
contacted Big Agnes and just asked them about it. And they said they would send me one. I have to send it back.
Okay.
I have to send it back. So this isn't like free and I don't get to keep it. But if I like it, I may just buy it from them. But it really does sit high. Like when I was sitting on it, my legs were flat. You know how like usually you sit in your heel and ox chairs and the other ones and your feet are like almost angled straight up.
Yeah, your butt is at the same height as your feet in the other one.
Yeah. Well, this one you sit like you're in a chair and it's really comfortable. Like really comfortable. So I know we're going to be getting together probably in a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to see each other. I can't wait to show you this chair because it's pretty cool. It's what is the name of this chair? Hang on.
The Big Agnes
Skyline UL series. Skyline UL chair. So Jeff Peters was asking what the chair is actually called. But yeah, I can't wait to try it out. It's expensive. Like it's more expensive than like the Chair Zero and all that. But anything that makes getting up out of the chair after a long day hiking, I'm kind of down for that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'll pay a little more.
Yeah, Jeremiah, you got the happy birthdays coming in over here, man. Mary says happy birthday. Doc says happy birthday. People are really loving on you right now, man.
Well, thank you. It was a good birthday. Bridget surprised me. I had a surprise birthday party. Had no idea. She just told me, "Oh, we're gonna have like a date night. I'm gonna cook you dinner and stuff. Stay gone until 5:30." Well, she got lucky because I stayed at the gym till 5:30, and then I drove to like a different basketball court, and I was just gonna keep playing ball. I was like, I'll probably stay here till 7:30. You know, it's Friday night, and then there's no one there, so I was like, well, I guess I'll get gas and go home. And I showed up. There's a bunch of people at the house, so I feel very loved. So thank you, everybody, for all the support and my friends that got to come to the surprise party. It was a good time.
Yeah. Well, and tonight was a good time, man. Tonight was a good time. We've got some more stuff coming on next week. We will not, I believe we're not doing the live stream next week. Is that right, Jeremiah?
We will have an episode published Wednesday of next week everywhere that you get your podcast. So make sure you check that out. John
That's
and
right. We have fall break this next week. And now that I have kids, fall break actually matters. And for you, it matters because you get a vacation, which means you're going to go outdoors somewhere.
Kids are out of school. Mr. Stringer's out of school.
There we go. There we go. So Jeremiah, it's been a fun night. Have yourself a good evening. And for the rest of you all, we will catch you on the next one.
Adios, folks.